Welcome back. We're almost there. We're almost at the point where we can finally sign up and sign in and do stuff with Firebase, right? So this is really what this whole application is about, right? So I thought about different approaches when starting this app. I thought about giving you like the whole structure before we even go into the Firebase stuff directly. So the whole project prepared, so we can just start with the Firebase stuff. But I still think it's good to look at these minor additional features which we have not used yet. For example, changing the typeface, meaning changing the font, and then using this handler and so forth. So there are still some things that we have to cover when it comes to new features. And as you can see, step by step, you're learning more and more about all of the different things of Android and how to get things done. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to prepare the sign up screen. So you can see this screen here. It's also very clean. We just have this back button here, which brings us back to this activity. And then we have the name, email, password, and sign up button. And of course, you can try to set this up yourself. It's going to be a little bit of effort, but in the end, it's going to be a great start for this application because the sign-in will be very similar and it will just not have the additional line here, one less added text. Okay, so let's get started. All right, first of all, we need to have a new activity. So here, new empty activity. Actually, there is something called new login activity, which is also something that you could potentially use, but I think building it from scratch is going to be the way for us. So sign up activity is going to be the name. And then when we have the activity, it's always good practice to directly go to the manifest and make changes. So for example, in our case, just the theme and the orientation. So let's add that to this new sign up activity as well here. So you can see now it also has the screen orientation and theme here. All right. So once that is done, we can go to the next step. And the thing is, I'm going to use the material design of Google. So if you want to use that, you always need to add that to your Gradle. So let's go to the Gradle script and go to build.gradle. And here under dependencies, let's add a new implementation. So here implementation is going to be com.google.android.material:1.1.0. All right. So this is the implementation. Once you have done that, you need to sync it. So press sync now so that this Gradle project sync is in progress. And we can use the whole classes which are inside of this dependency or this library that we're implementing here. All right, at this point, we can go to our activity signup XML and look at what we have here. Okay, so we will need some more dimensions and some more strings. So let's add those real quick before we look into this file. So here again, resources, values, dimensions. So here we're gonna have a bunch of new dimensions. And you can of course add the details about this. So you could say something like this is sign up activity. All right, and there we have the sign up screen button, margin top, title text size, authentication, screen content margin top, and so forth. If you want to type that in, you can of course pause the video and type everything in. And then we also have to look at the strings. So let's go to the strings XML. And here I'm going to add some more strings, which is just going to be generic ones, sign up description text, the name, password, and email. All right, now let's look up our sign up activity and check that one out. So we need to have a background here for this. So of course you could go ahead and use those drawable folders again and put them into the same folder in your resources. So show in Explorer and there to resources, and paste that in here so that it will replace some files here. And now we should have the IC background as well. All right, so it's not complaining anymore. As you can see, we have a vertical orientation for our linear layout, and we have a toolbar at the top, which is the sign up toolbar, so that we can have a back button there. Then, as you can see, we have this text here, edit texts, 3 of them. So the name, email, password, and sign up. And that's how it's going to look in the code. So here is the text view. Then you can see this text view is, by the way, inside of this toolbar. Okay, so we create a toolbar which has a height, which is the action bar size height, which comes from the attribute. Then we have our linear layout, which is vertical as well, so stuff is put on top of each other. And then inside of that we have one text view, which is this text view here, this one that you can see. And then we have a card view, which is this beautiful little card which surrounds the 3 elements here, or basically they are on top of this card. So we have this little card with those 3 edit text and this one button. So card view, and inside of this card view we have the linear layout, which then puts the different text input layouts which have an compat edit text. So with 3 of those, right? We've used text input layouts before, so it's basically always this structure. You have text input layout, and then you have the actual edit text inside of that, and we have that 3 times. Okay, so one is for the password, one is for the username, and then the other one is for the email. And finally we have this little button here. You can see a lot of details that we can edit here. As you can see, layout, margin, start, top, end. So we have a bunch of settings that we have set up. All right, and at that point the file is done. Okay, so now we can go over to this activity and finally do some action. So what I'm going to set up here is an action bar function, because I want to have this little icon here at the top left. This icon should bring us back to the activity before, or to the sign up, or this intro activity basically, right? So let's go ahead and create a new function here, private fun setup action bar. And what it's gonna do is it's gonna call this set support action bar, which is this default function of Android. And here you need to say which action bar you want to use. So I want to use the toolbar sign up activity. Okay, and where is it from? Well, it's inside of our activity sign up. You can see we have this toolbar that we created, which has a text view inside of it. So basically it's this one here, and I want to set that as our support action bar. And then we can go ahead and set the action bar to be the support action bar and check if the action bar exists. So if it's not null, then I want to go ahead and set some settings for this action bar. One is to set display home as up enabled to true, and then action bar set home as up indicator also as our r.drawable dot. And here it becomes interesting. So it's just this a little icon that I want to use, which is IC black color back 24 dp. So this one doesn't exist yet, so let's create it. Okay, so we can go ahead and create a new vector asset, which I'm gonna call just like that. I'm gonna select the back button looking one, so the back arrow. So you can decide which one, back arrow S or arrow back. I think I'm just gonna go with this one, arrow back or iOS. And I'm gonna give it this name that I have used, IC black color back 24 dp, because if we look at it, so here sign up, we can see it's this icon. It's just this black little arrow. And let's create it in there. All right, so now it exists and the error disappeared. All right, and now of course we just need to call this function. I'm just gonna call it here, setup action bar. Now, because this code is not really big, you could have of course just created or added the code in the onCreate method, so this whole code, but having an extra function is not going to be that much of a hassle, right? Okay, so that's our sign up activity, and we of course need to get there, right? So how do we get here? Well, we get here from the intro activity. So let's add the relevant code here. And how do we do that? Well, very simple. We go ahead and add a set on click listener to our button sign up. So here, set on click listener. And what is the code that we want to run here? Well, we want to start an activity, and we want to start an intent here, which is going to go from this class to our sign up activity class .java, and here it should be double colon. All right, let's import intent, and that should be pretty much it. So at this point we should be able to test it. So when we click on the button, which is our button sign up button, which comes from our sign up activity here, and by the way, it's not this one. So there we are. So we are using the same name twice. This is very tricky. Let's go back to our intro activity. So here, if I enter button sign up, and I was already wondering, so you can see we have two which have the same ID, button sign up and button sign up. So one of them is inside of our sign up XML, and the other one is in our intro XML. So maybe we want to change the names here. So let's go to the intro XML actually. So here, activity intro, and let's rename the sign up button, because I don't like to have IDs which are non-unique. So here we have the sign up button, button sign up intro. So I'm gonna call it, okay. And now we need to make sure that in the intro activity we also make this change. So sign up intro, set on click listener. And by the way, while we're at it, why don't we do the same thing for the other button? So for our button sign in, let's call this one sign in intro. Okay, so it's also an activity underscore intro, but I just think it's better to have really unique names, because you might guess it, that in the next video or in the next few videos, we are of course also gonna have a sign in activity. Okay, so at this point, of course, there are many different solutions to this, right? So one of them is the one that we have here, where you come to this screen and you can either sign in or sign up, or you could directly go to this sign up screen or to this screen, and then you would have a little button here at the bottom saying, do you want to sign in instead, or something like that. And it's just changing the UI. So it's one activity, but it's changing the UI. So this really depends on what you want to do. So both ways are fine. I think the second one is probably going to be a little quicker, but in most cases you should only sign up or sign in once, and then you will be signed in for a pretty long time usually. Okay, so at least that's going to be the design that we want to have. All right, so now let's test it, because we have prepared everything so far. I'd say we're starting the activity once we click on the button sign up intro, and that of course was the prepared project, so not the one that we just built. So let's check it out with our own project. All right, so there we are, project manage, then sign up, and we get to our sign up activity. And one thing is missing. You can see we still see the bar here at the top. I don't like that, so let's get rid of that. And in order to achieve that, we of course need to add those Windows set flags in our sign up activity as well. So in onCreate, let's just add those lines here, set flags, flag full screen, and then let's run the application once again. All right, so project manage, sign up, and beautiful. All right, so back button doesn't seem to do anything yet. And in order to add that, we need to go to our setup action bar and add one more line. So here it's going to be toolbar underscore sign up activity, set navigation on click listener. And here we're just going to do the same thing as if we had pressed the back button. So on back pressed. All right, so it's just going to be this here, on back pressed. Let's run it again. Okay, so projet manage, sign up, and back button, perfect. All right, so I'd say let's go over to the next video where we're gonna prepare the sign in button or the sign in activity. So see you there.